Here's the problem with CrossFit. CrossFit is taken out of context so often and so almost all the time. When people talk shit about CrossFit, there's a bunch of things that annoy me about CrossFit. A lot of the time, people who train CrossFit or people who are kind of in that middle ground who want to be like Mr. Rich Froning or some sort of CrossFit Games competitor. There's one thing I want to make clear, is that there's CrossFit Games athletes and there's everybody else. If you are not a contender to even be at regionals or a CrossFit Game athlete, you're basically on a different planet than what a CrossFitter is. It's sort of like amateur bodybuilding and then the Olympia, right? And I think that's kind of one of the biggest things that people mistake. And people like to talk shit about CrossFit because CrossFit is basically the kind of I won't say I guess you can call it the redheaded stepchild, but it's really more that it's more like the new kid on the block that's sort of gotten a little popular and everybody's hating on them. And the truth about it is I used to hate them quite a bit. And now, since I've discovered Kelly Starrett, I'm sort of like, how can CrossFit be so bad if there's K-Star there? You know, because Kelly Starrett has made a big impact on my life, and he is a pro CrossFit. Okay, but I guess the one thing I kind of want to take into context or talk about is really the difference between like kind of bodybuilding and powerlifting or even Olympic weightlifting, and at least my perception, you know. And one of the things I notice is that with bodybuilding, I mean, bodybuilding is filled with a bunch of garbage too. I mean, you think about a lot of bro science, you think about all the supplements, because bodybuilding is definitely driven by supplements. You think about all the endorsements to the names, the big names out there in bodybuilding. But once you make it in bodybuilding, like you're Jay Cutler or Ronnie Coleman, or just any of those top guys, you put yourself in a position where you have lots of influence, you know. And then same thing in the CrossFit realm is once you're having that kind of top 1 or 2, 0.01%, you have a lot of audience. And people will talk shit about you, people will take sides. But kind of where I'm going with this kind of talk or this conversation is that all the shit that CrossFit does is very stupid for bodybuilding. Most of it, in my opinion, is pretty stupid for powerlifting. It's probably, if you really think about what CrossFit is, it's really more of an Olympic weightlifting endurance sport. And the truth is, it's like criticizing CrossFit, at least the games, not necessarily the people that do CrossFit, because there are a lot of CrossFit elitists out there that are complete assholes, but that's not what I'm talking about though. But I guess I'll get to that in a moment. Is that there are, I lost my train of thought. What was I fucking talking about? CrossFit elitists are assholes. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about, what the fuck was I talking about? God damn it. I need to fuck. CrossFit is a sport. It's the CrossFit sport. Now, you don't have to like it. I don't particularly like baseball a whole lot, nor do I like soccer. It's just not what I like to watch. It's not even what I like to play. But it's a sport and they have certain rules. And for whatever reason, for reasons of a lot of reasons, is that CrossFit is its own world, its own sport. So if you're looking, because CrossFit movements, like there's overhead presses, there's push-ups, there's, you know, pull-ups, and there's pull-ups that look like pull-ups, kipping pull-ups. They got gymnastic movements. They got all these things, and you're criticizing it. And if you're coming from bodybuilding, doing 5x5s or powerlifting, you'll look at CrossFit and it looks like an idiot. It looks dumb. Because why are you even comparing CrossFit to powerlifting? Why are you even comparing CrossFit to bodybuilding? It's, even though you guys all use barbells, it's not the same thing. So of course, everything to a bodybuilder that does nothing about, that doesn't really know anything about CrossFit, is going to think CrossFit's stupid, and you should, because it doesn't help you. Most of the stuff, and of course, there's always going to be, first of all, let me start by saying this. There's stuff in bodybuilding that's going to help CrossFit, and there's stuff in CrossFit that's going to help bodybuilding. There's stuff in powerlifting that's going to help CrossFit. There's stuff in CrossFit that's going to help powerlifting. It's just how it is. It's just CrossFit. It's fitness. It's strength. It's kind of like the bench press is going to help you throw a ball faster, assuming you are weak. And if you're highly proficient, your bench is strong, you're a strong individual, it's not going to help your bench as much. But my point of saying all this and kind of where I'm going, trying to get back on track because I keep freaking making all these tangents, is that CrossFit is its own thing. It's its own sport. It's like Magic the Gathering. It's a game I used to play. It's like StarCraft. I played StarCraft. It's one of my nerdy games I love to play. It's like Ascension, if you ever played that. It's like basically Monopoly. It's its own thing. And to criticize, and if you play Magic the Gathering and you're going to criticize Monopoly because Monopoly is stupid, from the perspective of a Magic player, it is stupid because they don't mean anything to one another. Sure, there's a certain resource mechanic in Monopoly as there is to, the fuck is it? To Magic the Gathering with mana. Same thing with crystals and in StarCraft or Gold and Diablo, right? Diablo is very much different than StarCraft. They're made by the same company, but they're different games. Just like CrossFit is different than powerlifting and bodybuilding and the way you lift. Of course, there's similarities. There's always going to be similarities. Like in Diablo, they use what the fuck is it called? Mana. They still use mana. Magic uses mana. It's very common lingo. Same thing in. I'm not sure if actually no, Ascension doesn't use mana, but it's just look again. They use the same terminology, just like push-ups, right? Max reps. 1 rep max. So it's funny how we talk all this shit, or some people talk this shit, and it's really cool to talk shit about CrossFit, and I guess that's cool and everything. But my point of saying is this. It's all about context. It's about the context of the information. There's a lot of stuff you can get from learning things from CrossFit. You don't have to like it. Like I have a buddy of mine, watched my bench press video, which is either up or will be coming up soon, is a buddy of mine, he hates CrossFit. He fucking thinks it's fucking stupid. This is why he thinks CrossFit is fucking dumb. It's because you got these guys who are showing up to the Olympia who think that they're fucking the shit. They weigh 135 pounds and they think they're fucking badasses. But they're fucking 135 pounds and they can fucking do kipping pull-ups and they think they're the shit. And I think that's hilarious because it's probably true. I mean, I live in a box at UFC gym. That's kind of like my world, and it's kind of funny. But again, it's just fitness community. We all talk shit to one another, and I mean, at one point, at one world, there's probably going to be a CrossFit type competition at the Olympia, assuming CrossFit has staying power. It looks like it's here to stay. There's a lot of money behind them. People are doing it. People think it's cool, and people think it's uncool. Actually, the truth about it is, if so many people didn't think CrossFit was uncool and stupid, it would not be as popular as it is now. That's really what it comes down to. There's so many people that hate it, and there's so many people that love it, and that's the reason why it's popular. You have people taking sides. It's basically like politics, fitness politics, right? It's fitness politics. Powerlifting, you got the Democrats or whatever. I'm not equating any particular group. Okay, let's not get any misunderstandings because people can misconstrue what I'm talking about. But the point is, they're like different parts of the different parts of parties of government or associate, like the Tea Party, or I don't know. I don't even fucking know government that much. But my point I'm trying to say is that look, there's people in different areas: Olympic weightlifting, powerlifting, CrossFit, bodybuilding, strongman, basketball, football, baseball, whatever. There's people in all these camps, right? And they have different opinions, but they're their own world, you know? It's similar to that idea. Kind of don't know where I was going with this talk. I just kind of wanted to talk about something that I guess the reason why I came up with this conversation, why I wanted to make this video in the first place, was because I was deadlifting today. Pulled 525 for a double and 545 for a single. Fucking proud of that shit. So which means on my deadlift meet, I'm going to probably go for a 585. So I'm going to be pretty close to my 600 goal by the end of the year. Looks like I'm on pace right where I need to be. But my point is, fuck, 'cause I keep going off topic. This might end up being one of my good videos. But anyways, fucking ADHD, man. This is what happens. Too much sugar. Actually, I'm on low carb today. What was I talking about? I was talking about after I did those deadlifts and I felt strong, I had this kind of interesting thought, is that you got, you know, because I think about bodybuilding and how ridiculous it can be. Because the thing about bodybuilding is that it has this really dark side to it. And after watching a lot of Jason Blahau movies and just, you know, watching Bigger, Stronger, Faster and just understanding the state like Lance Armstrong with, you know, with drugs and stuff, and just a lot of people who are got in trouble for performance enhancement drugs, this rabbit hole of sports bodybuilding is very deep. People do a lot of stuff that you're not supposed to do that make it so that you can get to the top, and a lot of us that are maybe not in the know or maybe that are impressionable want to believe that these people are natural, right? And I'm not saying that some of these people aren't, because I'm sure some of them are, but unlikely that all of them are. So keep that in mind. So the thing is I'm trying to say is that there are people, it's just that there's so many layers, you know, and there's so many layers. Because I remember reading Muscle Fitness magazine when I was like 19, and I didn't think anyone did any drugs, you know. I was that stupid, or was that naive, not stupid, just naive. you know. And then as I got more educated and you start to learn, you begin to realize that this rabbit hole is pretty deep. And you look at bodybuilding, you got people, like if you look up, just Google arm synthol infection bodybuilding, it's what people use to put in their arms, like basically fake oil or basically like boob implants for your arms and muscles, so that way you can have more symmetrical shape in your body so that you can win a bodybuilding show or have the opportunity to. Now, I'm not saying that everybody uses this stuff, but my point is that this rabbit hole of performance, or quote unquote performance, or cheating, or advantages are sort of basically just, it's naive to think that everything is good everywhere, because in bodybuilding there's definitely a lot of people who do bad drugs, or drugs that they use drugs irresponsibly or inappropriately, or they just get unlucky and they get synthol arms, or they get infections and stuff like that. And you can just look it up. Some people look pretty gross because they want to look big, they want to look jacked. And you think about CrossFit on another end of the spectrum, you see guys doing kipping pull-ups they should not be doing kipping pull-ups because they can't even do a freaking pull-up. There's no reason for any person to do 100 kipping pull-ups or try to get like a bunch of kipping pull-ups if they can't do a regular pull-up. I mean, you have to be strong to do that stuff. And first of all, kipping pull-up in itself is arguably stupid. My thing with a kipping pull-up, and I'll just tell you right now, is that if you can do a kipping pull-up, I don't think you should do it as a main movement for anything, but if you're able to do it, it just means that you have coordination. That's really all it means, and you have the ability and mobility for it, but it doesn't mean necessarily you're strong. It just means you have a certain skill, sort of like doing a handstand. Handstand does not necessarily mean you are strong, but of course it usually does. But in a lot of instances, anyways, my point of saying this is that I'm just going on ranting, talking about a bunch of random stuff. If you like these kind of videos, make a request, make a comment. If I don't get any comments, I will probably take this video down, because it is basically one of those raw videos where I'm a little uncontrolled, but it's probably good that I put some of these videos out because it kind of helps me discover myself on YouTube. Anyways, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.